All right, there we go. Uh, so that was the new OK Go song called Love, and the music video which came out a couple of hours ago. And of course, it's an OK Go music video, so it's absolutely unhinged. Um, as the little message in the top left corner says, I the last 2 weeks have been very interesting, and they have continued to be very interesting, for better or for worse. My voice it was thrown out. I got sick and then I didn't rest my voice like I should have, and I completely threw my voice out. And I've kind of been dealing with slowly getting that back over the course of the last week, and it's still kind of messed up, and I don't want to throw it out anymore. I want to give it a little bit more time to rest, so I'm not going to be talking as much during the stream. That's also, I didn't want to just do another Jigsaw puzzle stream, but there was no way I was going to be able to do Donde Lucy, and I wanted to make sure I got a stream out this week. I did feel bad
That's
for not
nice.
saying or doing anything, and I really haven't been able to work on videos because of my voice. I haven't been able to sit down and do a video for Third Wheel, which I do plan on doing, and kind of just trying to do something new with that, honestly. But yeah, so we're gonna do jigsaw puzzles, and I'm sorry if that sucks and is lame, but that's what we're gonna do, and I need to find another BCB puzzle to do that with. We could do the today's page actually. Yeah, let's do today's page. So let's see, add new image. There we go. Yeah, unlisted. Nope, that's the wrong one. There we go. Oh wow, my I need to move this down then. So we'll move that down and get right started into, not that one, this one. So yeah, I hope everyone's doing well. This new chapter's been interesting. It's not been bad, it's just been interesting, and we'll see where things end up going. We've had some pretty interesting interactions so far, and I'm looking forward to more interesting interactions in the future. If you want to know a fun BCB Fannel slash Rob fact slash being sick fact, the new channel trailer, the one that's like up now, I actually recorded that right after being sick and my voice wasn't totally back at that point. And you can maybe kind of hear that I was still a little sick, or my voice was kind of thrown out there. But my job like requires me to talk a lot, and I met somebody that I talk to a lot, so it and also pollen allergy season is coming up. So it's just a combination of many things that have caused my voice to go kaput. But that is okay. Oh shit, I didn't even put the room code there. But I really haven't been doing much. Just been playing a lot of Baldur's Gate. Just I haven't really written any more in the letter. I've written like most slash half of like a chapter for the letter. And then I started working on something else. I'm gonna have off all next week, and I really don't think I'm gonna be up to much outside of like maybe editing some videos for money, which will be nice. But I'm kind of getting like a little bit more serious about writing this book. I feel like I have a strong idea. And honestly, I have many strong ideas. I don't know if this idea that I like will be like, I need to have enough to like carry an entire story. And I don't know if I will have enough of that, you know? I don't know what it means to write an entire book. But I feel like I have other ideas that I could probably focus on, do a little bit more with, actually, and I might focus on that. It was nice to just sit down and write a bunch of stuff out. I put the Lord of the Rings appendices. I have the Lord of the Rings extended editions. So I put the appendices on in the background while I wrote. I guess the idea is Tolkien's good writing will rub off on me. I will be inspired and it'll help me become a better writer or something. I don't know. I can't even look at chat. What am I doing? Not that anybody's really going to be in chat. It's not such a bad idea to stream on a Friday night either. This is when most people are going to be available to actually watch. Instead of like streaming on Monday at noon when everyone's at school or work. Or like on Wednesday or whatever. I think we have all the edgy pieces. It's been interesting to see the track team interact. Even though everything is just cycled back around to relationship drama, which is a little annoying. It was nice for a brief moment of time to like actually see characters interacting that has nothing to do with relationships, and then it immediately turned into that, and I'm like, okay, well, it was like really good for a second, and then it just, not that it's not still good, it just is not as interesting anymore, I guess. It's something that I praise. The concept of the track team is a really good idea. In fact, I think it's one of the better ideas Teshi has had in the modern era, because it's not something she's really ever done before, like a whole sports thing or whatever. And so to see her kind of start writing something new that we had never really seen, even though Mike has been shown to be athletic, whether for comedic purposes or not, but usually it's been for comedic purposes or like plot reasons, bullshit plot reasons. But it is nice to kind of get some new stuff in the comic that we really haven't seen before. Even if it is still just there to perpetuate relationship drama. And I know a lot of people will say, well, Rob, do you know what comic you're reading? Like, that's the point of it. And I'm like, yeah, but it really makes you wish for more, right? I feel like I'm turning into Amazil, which isn't the worst thing, by the way. But he always said ask for more, and I understood what that meant, but I didn't understand it emotionally, and now I feel like I understand it emotionally. Like I get what the funny furry webcomic YouTuber rant man means now by saying ask for more. You know, you should get more, and I get that. Teshi is on record stating she doesn't really like world building, and for me, world building's the most fun part. That's like the easiest part. Like I can come up with a fucking world or whatever, like no problem. I'm not trying to like brag or anything. I'm just saying, like I feel like it's something that I'm kind of strong with. However, not having any world building is a huge detriment, because then like it doesn't, nothing feels like living and breathing, right? Everything feels like it's just a puppet. And sure, the characters in the world are like there to be a part of whatever drama or whatever the story is, but you have to disguise that fact. You have to have people really believe that these things are real. Not like, obviously I wouldn't believe BCB was real. I don't think that talking cats and dogs and shit, talking hamster hedgehogs. But it does make it more interesting when you feel like these characters are like fully realized characters, and not just like, oh, James only exists to simp after Mike, and now they're talking about relationship drama. It's like, okay, well, I have now checked out of this chapter a little bit. It is interesting to see the track team, and it is interesting to see them practice. I honestly wish we could get more of that, but we probably won't. I don't know. The other very strange thing to me too, and I know that it's pointless to argue this, and it's kind of tough to argue this without and I know this is gonna sound really bad, and I know people are gonna say, well, if you know it's gonna sound bad, then you probably shouldn't say it. But you guys have to remember, this is January 2008. No, 2009. We're in January 2009. You are not gonna have a bunch of boys, especially jocks, which honestly, the track team, they're the nerds of the jock world, but that's beside the point. You're not going to have these jocks openly standing around talking about guys liking other guys and having crushes on other guys. That's not going to happen. Like, I can accept that maybe some of them would be cool with like James being gay or whatever, but like I don't know. I would be cool with it. Like I would not. I had no chip on my shoulder about anyone that was LGBT. Like honest, like genuinely, like I don't really give a fuck. Um, but I remember what it was like in high school at that time, and I'm telling you, even if you personally didn't give a fuck, you were supposed to give a fuck, right? Uh, and it's just kind of like they're just openly talking about it, and it's like I don't even think like modern high schools even though things are supposed to be better, I don't even think like modern high schools. I don't think high school is as progressive, or schools in general are as progressive as people think they are. And maybe it just depends on where you grew up. Like maybe just where I grew up, things were a lot different. I can accept that, but it just seems a little bit strange to me that, and I'm not saying I want people to not be okay, but there's like, I'm not saying it's impossible, but it's also, the chances of me getting trampled to death by cows are never zero, but it's extremely unlikely. And so we're kind of dealing with that kind of situation. Not saying I want the LGBT themes to go away. In fact, the stuff with Matt is some of the better stuff in the comic. It's a really interesting thing to look at. But it's like Teshi just completely forgot that that's what her world is like. And now it's like, so what the fuck happened with Matt? How the fuck did James find literally every single pro LGBT person in the whole fucking school, it seems, and Matt didn't find a single? Well, I guess Jessica and Rachel and all of them, but I don't know. It it is not how things were. But it's Teshi's world, and she can write it however she wants. It's her story. If the characters are going to be that way, just it feels like there's a disconnect when we don't really see any sort of backlash or like any sort of negativity outside of Paulo freaking out, and that's only because he was nervous about himself, right? Okay. Alright, we know where the edges are. We're getting there. This music's weird as hell. The wah wah. But yeah, I do not really foresee a school where Teshi knows her audience. BCB fandom feels pretty quiet, much to Paisley didn't really much of an impact. I have noticed that too. I like the fanfic community just kind of died. The BCB co-threads have kind of been quiet. My Discord's been quiet. I think people are just kind of like, I don't know. I think it's ironic to say that like Paisley caused like damage. I mean, I don't know what, maybe things in the official server are completely different, but it's just no one really seems to care. There really hasn't been a lot of inspiration from it. I mean, shit, when Paisley was going around, do you want to know what everybody was talking about? At least in the circles that I was in. Abby and Sue being together and Paulo and Sue being together. Like, people just did not give a shit about Paisley. Like, it's like the Switch 2, it was more exciting before it happened, and then it happened, and you're like, oh, that's it? I know I said I wasn't going to be talking that much. I'm sorry, guys. And then I just yapped because I like talking. The reason Paisley didn't have an impact is because it's boring and it doesn't make sense. I have not been able to get a single person that, because if you want to talk about like a matter of trust, right? Why are, let me ask you this question. I want someone in chat, literally anybody, could be anybody. I want someone to tell me, why are Paulo and Daisy friends? This is, I'm gonna, because in order to really start and have like a good solid relationship, you need to be really good friend. Like, your partner needs to be your best friend. And so we need to ask ourselves a question: what does it mean to be friends with someone? How does a friendship start? Like, what does that entail? Now, I can give my own personal experience from this, right? And my personal experience says that you have to have a place of commonality. You have to have things in common. This is beyond relationship. This is before relationship, right? This is just friendship. You need to have things in common, things you both enjoy, things you like to talk about and enjoy doing. Right? I feel like we're all in agreement with that. So my question to you guys is this. What uh, why are Paulo and Daisy friends? I can see why Mike and Lucy are friends. They like going to get ice cream together. They like playing similar video games or the same video games together. I'm gonna get all the James pieces out here. I think James is a little, I don't know, that's not really that yellow. What do Paulo and Daisy enjoy doing together? And this is the question I haven't been able to answer. And this is a question that people haven't been able to answer for me. Even diehard Paisley supporters have not been able to answer this simple question. There is no chemistry between the two. Like, for whatever, it's like, even though there's chemistry, there isn't. Like, Teshia's wrote them like kind of flirting and having a good time together, but it's like, what are they really talking about? What are their discussions really about? And the answer to that is, really, they're just about each other, or they're about Abby. But that's not like interesting, and it's not really something that you could have a friendship. Like, imagine all you and your friend talked about, and we're not going to get into relationship right now. Let's just talk about you and your friend. Imagine all you and your friend talked about was each other, or like another person. And that's what Paisley is. That's what Paulo and Daisy's friendship is. It's gotta go over here somewhere. I think this is like over here. So they don't really have a grounds for friendship. Like, I can accept that Paulo thinks Daisy is cute, and of course Daisy's gonna think Paulo is attractive. Like, in universe, he's supposed to be really attractive. But like, that's it. Now let's talk about the relationship side of things, right? On the relationship side of Paulo and Daisy, they are both open about their feelings, like, not about each other up until, you know, obviously a certain point, but like with each other, right? And like, Paulo is emotionally vulnerable to Daisy. Okay, sure. And I'm not really sure what Daisy gives to Paulo outside of just like kind of being a counselor or like a therapist or a shoulder to cry on. I'm not really sure. I can see Paulo trusting Daisy with his emotions, maybe, because Daisy's kind of okay or good with those sorts of things in general. But I, I'm not sure, one, where that's grounds for friendship, because they, like I said, why would they have any interactions with each other, because they're not really friends with each other. Uh, None of it really makes sense fully. I mean, I've talked about this to death, and I don't really know what else I can say. Teshi's gonna write the story how she wants to write it, and us and the other server might watch the Minecraft movie together one day. Care to come back? No, I'd never want to see that movie again, and I don't really want to be in that server anymore. I don't know. I'm caught a few different ways, guys. I'm not really upset with BCB right now, and I know that I kind of go through low points with this comic. And I think we're just kind of going through a low point right now, especially with like everybody just seems to just kind of be apathetic, not really care about what's happening. But I just haven't really been on, like I've been focused on other things, you know? I have other things going on in my life, and I kind of want to focus on other things right now. Like I've put so much of my focus of the last several years into BCB that, and I'm not going to say I necessarily have neglected other aspects of my life, but you know, I certainly could have been focusing a little bit more on other aspects of my life. This isn't me saying that I'm giving up on BCB, by the way. Just sad your theater didn't go crazy. I really do not care about the Minecraft movie. It was awful. It's one of the worst movies I've ever seen. It's one of the, I had no expectations and I was still disappointed by it. I never want to see it again. I never want to think about it again. I am tired of getting lectured by people who will never watch that movie about, I mean, I know they're kidding around, but they're like, oh, Rob, it's Kino. It's so good. It's the best movie. No. I, what I'll say about the Minecraft movie is this, and then I'm going to move on because I don't want to talk about the Minecraft movie anymore. You will genuinely get more entertainment out of just sitting at home and playing Minecraft for an hour and a half with your friends than going to see the movie with your friends. It it is not as funny as you think it's going to be. Chicken Jockey is just one line in the entire movie. Why is James on this page so much? Like, you think it's going to be a funny meme movie, and then it really isn't. I agree with Vinny on this one thing about the movie, and that at best, this movie is just going to have a cult following, and there will be like midnight screenings of this movie, like The Room and Rocky Horror Picture Show. That is the best case scenario for this movie. And it's crazy too, because Jack Black isn't even a bad actor. He just didn't seem to really fucking care. Like, this just seemed like an easy paycheck for him, and I'm not saying he didn't want to do it or whatever, but he could have tried a little bit more than not trying at all. Like, this really felt the most like Jack Black showing up for a paycheck. He's just like, yeah, I'll just do whatever bullshit, you know, I don't really care. And then I'll get paid, and I'll just get paid to hang out, basically. But yeah, if you're planning on seeing the Minecraft movie, I assure you it is not worth it. It is not even worth it for the meme. You are genuinely better off just staying home and playing the game with your friends. You will have way more fun doing that. You will save a lot of money. And you can also play it for more than an hour and a half. That's it. Anyway, back to the Funny Cat comic discussion. So yeah, Paisley's just very boring. It is not instilled hope that Mike and Lucy will be good. I mean, Mike and Lucy's groundwork has already been mostly laid out, so it's kind of like hard to fuck that up because it's already kind of there. But it does worry me that it's not going to be as impactful as it probably should be because Teshi just so terribly dropped the ball. Mike X Felix is the last glimmer of hope. No, Mike X Felix, no. Teshi had the opportunity to do the gay ships and she didn't do it. And it's too late now. Okay, it's not too late, but like I don't know, it's like at this point, why bother? And I'm not saying that Paisley could have never worked in any universe. It could have. It just there's just nothing for them to do together. And I know Teshi is trying to like not necessarily backtrack on any of that, but like using Jasmine to be like, "Oh yeah, Paula will just do whatever you want." And it's all good to just explain away how it's going to work. Listen, it's fine to be a flexible boyfriend. It's a very good thing. And you don't have to have everything in common with the person that you're with. But Jesus Christ, you can just like when you're younger, I guess, and there aren't higher stakes or whatever, I don't know. It's a lot easier to just get away with, "Oh, well, I'll just do whatever she wants," you know? But Daisy is seemingly unwilling to bend the knee to Apollo in any sort of way, which is concerning. Let's see, where's this gotta go? I have a lot of faces. But not really anywhere to put them. I don't know. I feel like the issues with Paisley are too deep, and the only way to fix them is to rewrite the entire comic, basically. And we know that's not going to happen, and I wouldn't want Teshi to have to do that. I know Teshi knows that this is not how a relationship should be, but I'm telling you right now, from experience, I didn't go to work today. I'm telling you right now from experience, having stuff in common and having a great time talking about those commonalities between, you know, you and the other person, that carries so much weight. You don't even know. You guys don't even know how much power that has. Not that like you're trying to exercise your power against another person, but having those feelings, having those feelings of, damn, I really like talking to this person, or I miss talking to this person when I'm not talking to them. That counts for a lot. Paulo and Daisy don't have that. And it's just like, if the whole comic is just going to be about that now, just boring, man. I just don't give a shit, you know? Why would anybody care? Why would anybody care to get involved or give a shit about any of it when it's like, that's it? You just joined. Drifting Good? Hello. I'm gonna be live for like, hi. I'm gonna be live for about another 25 minutes, and then I'm probably gonna call it because I do need to still rest my voice. But welcome for putting today's page together. Hopefully with your help we can do it a little bit less terribly. Missing Felix's head. He's like been domed. Yeah, I don't know. Is BCB unironic, or is BCB actually boring, or is it just me? I guess that's the question. You know, am I the one who's wrong? And if I am the one who's wrong, I'll own up to that, sure. Yeah, nothing says high school in 2008 or 2009 like a bunch of boys talking about liking boys and like having crushes on them. That's what we did. That, hey, you know what? You know what? Teshi's right. This is what we did in high school in 2009. We just talked about liking boys, you know? Needs to be canceled because of egg prices. The end. Yeah, might as well at this point. Let's see. It's been really boring. It's not even offensive. Just feel mad when I read it. Not happy or angry. Yeah, like there's a point in time, and maybe it's because like the comics kind of like the excitement's kind of worn off or whatever. But there was a point in time with BCB where it was like it was such an emotional roller coaster. Now I just don't care. I'm like, okay. The characters are so inconsistent. They're consistent in their inconsistency. Teshi's not even consistent with their own world. I will say this chapter, there are moments that are good. Like, I like the stuff with Abby and Paulo in the last chapter. That was good stuff, you know? I'll give credit where it's due. I'm not gonna just sit here and be like, yeah, the whole comic is terrible and nothing good has ever happened. And it's not even like we haven't had good chapters recently. Like, I really liked Method Acting. A lot of people don't like that chapter, but I thought it was very good. And honestly, Method Acting came out at a time where I felt like I'm losing interest in the comic. Like my care about it is slipping. I'm starting to not give a shit. But then Method Acting came out and it was kind of a fun chapter, and I'm like, oh, okay, so this comic can still be interesting and be fun. And then the thing that sucked about it though is that nobody understood that, and they all complained about the chapter the whole time. And I was like, guys, we should want more of this. We should want more of the comic like doing weird and funny ideas instead of like just being the same shit every time about relationship bullshit. But the issue is that Teshi has kind of written herself into a corner where she can't do the weird and funny ideas anymore. And so now the whole comic's just boring and sucks. And I mean, honestly, with this chapter, I thought I thought this chapter was actually kind of interesting too until he just turned it into relationship bullshit. And I was like, oh well, here we go. It's time to tune out. Old Teshi just coming along, be like, all right, I've stepped outside of my comfort zone too much as far as writing's concerned. It's time to reel it back in. I mean, even when the comic got like kind of dark with like Abby's dad and stuff, like at least it was something new and interesting. It's like Teshi has been scared to add anything new or interesting to the comic outside of the track team, and that just ended up becoming the same thing everything always is. Same as it ever was. You know, letting the days go by. Don't mind the serious aspect to the comic. Love reading Gus's arc and Lucy struggling over the dependency in the early days, but nowadays the serious chapters filled with cheap jokes. Yeah, I mean, there's some good serious chapters, right? Teshi doesn't seem like she's gotten bored of BCB. I don't even think it's like, I think maybe it's an inspiration issue. But she doesn't seem to be like tired of doing it. She seems to be actively enjoying writing the comic. Like she's just talking about how excited she is for people to read it and like see all the new stuff, which is good. I'm glad that she's still excited about it, but it's like the way the comic is now, it's so slow that she really can't do anything fun. It's one of the and I need to make a video about this. The Better Days being the Better Days being the April Fool's thing. I like that wasn't super well received. And I will own up to that maybe not being the best idea, but I was kind of caught in a bad situation, and I didn't know what else to do, and I had to rush something out, and that ended up being what we got, was that. So unfortunately, yeah, there's that. And I ended up talking out of my ass for most of it, unfortunately. I forgot where I was going with this conversation. It's just out of my head. What was I talking about actually? Before I was talking about, oh yeah, cheap jokes. I don't know. I just feel like oh yeah. So Better Days moves at a pretty good clip, and so they're able to like concentrate. Jay's able to concentrate a lot of interesting, and I'm not saying good. I'm not saying good. I'm just saying interesting and different concepts into the comic without anything taking too long. And the thing with BCB is that Teshi has now made it so that it's so slow that everything is boring and it moves at a snail's pace. Uh, I mean, the rest of the comic is not the end of the comic, or at least up till chapter 140. We know it's going to last until the end of February. That means the next month of BCB in universe for BCB is going to be. It's going to be 4 years in real time. In real time, in our real world, the next 4 years is going to be a month of time in BCB. Two Kinds, bruh, you get 1,000 subs in a week. I have never read Two Kinds, and Two Kinds is a super long comic, and like I said, I didn't have a lot of time because I was also going back to work at that time, and I was also, yeah, I was going back to work, so I didn't really have a whole bunch of time to like dedicate to reading a new comic. Gotta live year in Stellar season at BCB, yeah. So I think BCB's just too slow. I think that's one of its big issues, is that it's too slow, and that makes it boring. That also makes it really difficult for Teshi to correct any mistakes, and so it's like a giant ship, right? It's like how they say companies are like gigantic ships, and it takes a while for those ships to turn. It, I don't know. She's writing the comic how she wants to write it. This is her vision. This is her plan. It will not be to everyone's liking. And the die has kind of been cast. I think Teshi is good at writing certain things. I think the early days of the comic were the best days of the comic. Even now, it's not even like a nostalgia thing, right? The early part of the comic is really good at drawing you in, and then it just slowly becomes boring over time. It's like Teshi wanted to tell a more serious story, like a more mature story, but then like not at all. Like, I don't know. I'm starting to push my voice a little bit too much. Believe it or not, I don't like the comic being... I don't want the comic to be bad. I don't like talking about it when it's bad. I don't like looking down my nose at it. I would want it to be good. I like talking about chapters like method acting and talking about how fun and wild it is. I like talking about like the early bits of the comic where it was like fun and interesting, and Teshi was like really exploring a lot of different weird ideas. You just don't get that anymore. It feels like an advertisement. Wait, it feels too safe and generic. It feels like it's styled to appeal as many people as possible. Yeah, but like, it's not appealing to anyone. The issue is that they don't market their comic to the people that would read their comic, is the thing. It's a generic. Does the comic feel generic? Yeah, it it used to have a wild streak, and I think this is something I briefly touched on in the Better Days video, but it feels as though when storytellers get older, they're less willing to like take risks or like do weird and interesting ideas for whatever reason. I mean, that's not always true, by the way. There are exceptions. I know people will run at me with like, well, what about this person? They're like fucking 65 and they're writing these kinds of stories. It is possible to be older and still write weird and wacky stories, right? It just feels as though as Teshi has gotten older, she's been less willing to like branch out and write weird things, which is what people liked BCB for. Like it was all these weird and funny, wacky concepts mixed with like a little bit of relationship drama. And you really wanted to see Mike and Lucy get together because you saw how much they cared about each other. And then you introduce Sandy, and then it just falls apart and it sucks. I am happy to see that the track team is still getting more mileage. It's not a pun, by the way. Pun not intended. Uh, by the way, once we finish this puzzle, we're just going to call it a stream because I needed to rest my voice. We're not going to end stream right away because I'm still talking about stuff, but uh, it's just missing, like, I don't know, a weird streak of inspiration. Yeah, look at this page. Oh, we can talk about this page. Didn't Paulo like you? Wasn't he all jealous after that date you had with Mike? I don't know, multitask with crushes too sometime. It's just like, I don't know. I don't know. Alright, good night. Get well soon. Thank you, Drifting Good. I appreciate you. Kind of wish I knew his feelings sooner. I feel like Paulo gave up on me too quickly. This almost feels like Teshi, like, I don't know, trying to lampshade the fact that she never had any intention on Paulo and James dating. Well, maybe he noticed how exhausting you can be. That was a joke. Anyway, I guess we're gonna wrap stream up there. Thank you guys for showing out. As soon as I'm feeling better, we will get into like, where the fuck is the thumbnail? We will get into uh, back to Donnie S to Lucy, and I will do the review for Third Wheel. Uh, anyway, I hope David and James get together, and that's all I gotta say. You guys have a wonderful weekend, and next week we will. I think next week is, what is next? I don't know. It might be a ad lib I'm reading. I don't know.